later on, somebody's still talking about, I came to join the family together and bring love into the world and all that. That's not the same person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or
so
God
now,
is not confusion,
right?
And let us go down and confuse them.
Yep.
And it goes on and on and on like this.
So because ain't nobody study forensic profiling, psychological forensic analysis on their free time. I'm the only idiot that would decide to do that on my free time and get good at it. Right? So now we looking at a story. It's two people. That's this righteous person, but it's two people. And they got two different ways of dealing with it. One say, pray for your enemies and love thy enemy as thyself. The other one say, go sell off your garments, buy up swords and knives. We about to take these to war. Right? So you looking at two different characters, forensically speaking, because they're not telling you the same story or the same idea. But the concealment is put both of their words in red. Now, Emmanuel, meaning God with us, that's Heru, because it came from the coming forth by day. All of the epithets of Christ in the Bible are all of the epithets of my mother Isis in the coming forth by day.
Okay.
Right? And some of the epithets apply to Horus. Right? His goal is to go from Kefra to Aten, right? So he going from the rising to the highest peak. This is in the zodiac wheel. You using the tarot cards to walk what's called the fool's journey. It is a blueprint and a roadmap, a yellow brick road to the destination, which is the throne of the Great Mother. And along the way, you have to figure out how to make sure that they can't stop her from receiving her throne as her son. That's the Horus story. Right? Now they showing you the pictures in the church of who they stole the story from. But you don't see it because they don't put that on public display. They display it in the Pope's chambers, the Black Madonna and Child. Right? Original bloodline, firstborn of the earthborn, parthogenic son of the Great Mother. Her forever redeemer. These people that Seven Bomar was talking about in the families are called kinsmen redeemers or family redeemers. Right? And this is their job, is to find out their family's inheritance and who did it, where they at, and how you get it back. Now they know who's rightful heirs to the earth as the Madonna and Child, the mother and the son. The son is receiving rulership rights from the mother. He's not taking over. He's supporting her wisdom in the application of government. Right? So you go through this journey. All of these are steps, but they are concealed in the fool's journey, which is actually the flip side, is the hero's journey. And the journey is the journey back to self, right? And all of the pantheon are family members that all of them is giving you the go ahead to sit on the throne. Now, if you look close in the center, you'll see Tawaret here. That's the Great Mother in the 13th zodiac seat. Right? And this is a replica of the Temple of Dendera. She's the one that's the hippopotamus with the alligator spine. The alligator spine means she stand up straight. That means she a straight up woman. She don't mince meat with what she's saying. She telling you what she telling you. She got a cleaver in her right hand. Right? She got a hippopotamus, the protective mother, in the mammary glands of a woman. That's Big Mama. Right? All of these are tied to the original zodiac which comes from the totem systems of using totem animals to read energy in the environment.
Right.
So these zodiac animals came from the totem animals of the original tribes of the earth tribes, of which there's 12 daughters of Isis, meaning 12 feminine bloodlines of mitochondria. Right? And they all been interrupted by several different Y chromosome intercepts that produce birth defects that was did on purpose in laboratories in Sumer. Right? Now that they got the birth defect, the only remedy is the original blood, one drop doctrine. Because Enki wrote the genome, he knew what to write to clean it up in the splicing program. Right? So when they talking about the story's fictional aspect, it's religious. But when you talk about its actual aspect, it's metaphysical and it's science and it's a star map. And it don't got nothing to do with what you believe. It got everything to know with how well can you read the signs.
Powerful, powerful. You know, so you're talking about the zodiac, Rod, and Seven put up the picture of the temple of Dendera. You know, oh, man, as we say, this is a divine costume that we're wearing down here. Macabre, there's many names for the vessel.
Earth rover.
Earth rover, you know, we call it different names. In the spiritual community, a lot of us study sciences such as astrology, numerology, things like that. And, you know, these sciences tell us certain things about who we are. But my question to y'all is, some of us are very old souls. Say, for example, Brother Rich, I might have existed before the sun, moon, and stars even was around. I might have been one of them souls that was around way before the sun, the moon, the stars, Saturn, scary ass Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, all that shit. I might have been around before all of that. Now, if I was around and souls like me were around before all of that, are we subjugated to the same rules of astrology as a soul who came around after these planetary bodies existed? Or do the rules completely change for souls that were around before this certain things in the matrix even came about?
Look, Michael Jordan was 12 years old. You think he could have beat Dr. J in the pickup game? One-on-one?
When he was 12, no.
Okay, now, when he was 30, right, and you squared him up against Dr. J, now Dr. J is aged, right? And this is the continuation and the passing on of energy. Because Dr. J aged, if he could beat Jordan when he was the same age as Jordan was when he was 13, when he becomes 30 now, he's that much older than Jordan. So now all of his senses is declining because of something called age, right? So we looking at a baton passed to self. When you're talking about an individual soul, that's always has to be filtered through an ego. Because when you're not in the physical form, there is no one of us. We are unison. We are together. We the great egregore of consciousness that is creation. But when we take on a physical form, we encapsulate all that into an ego. And the old souls just learn how to use the ego to its advantage better than the new souls. And we called the new souls the snakes, but the old souls was the dragons. The great, terrible lizards, because they can control the manifestation potentialities of this physical form so good, they became spooky and scary like goblins and goons. But that was just another representation of the potency of their power. Right? So now we come in with the old souls clearing the way for the new souls to come in as the the indigo race, which is not going to have anything to do with ethnicity, and it's going to have everything to do with which crystal you control your bloodline, right? And it's going to be 12 major crystals, and the minor crystals fall under the major crystals, the trickle-down effect. All of it is tied together. So the old soul's responsibility is to come and live the life to teach the new souls how to live life. Because we're not given an instruction manual at birth, we given amnesia instead. You muted, Rich.
No, I said, wow, yeah, talk to him. We giving them each instead. That's powerful. God damn it, that's powerful.
So how they gonna learn how to live?
Yeah.
If the family is broken, the individual psyche is broken as he develops. So he's already developing from a broken perspective. So you give them misinformation, the perspective is broken, then you flip the map on them, tell them that south is down and north is up, when it's exactly the opposite. Which twists their east-west orientation. It's subconsciously disorienting the subconscious, so the conscious mind can't navigate the 3D realm without somebody telling it where to go. You need borders set up. You need the velvet ropes to tell you how to walk down on the red carpet, right? But the wild man of the jungle can walk the path without a trail, right? And then he can come back and get everybody else and show them where is the destination. And this is when your old souls come in, and the difference from what they do versus, they let the young souls train themselves by trial and error. In this case, the youngest souls took on pale skin. So they had to go through a catharsis due to something called an Iceman inheritance, which developed the psychopathic racial personality. You know I'm dropping receipts while I'm talking, right? Them books that explain the whole philosophy of what I'm saying in detail. I just quoted by the title of the book so that the book can give you the further background. Because they don't be knowing I be dropping receipts, but some of the people will look up something I'm saying, and then they'll be able to follow the receipts. So the only way to get rid of the traits that the ice inheritance produces is catharsis. Right? But somebody got to be strong enough to endure the suffering of the cat's paw, because they ain't running nothing. They just put up as the fall guy, the Coach Seavers, the stunt man, the crash dummy. And then the ones behind it is telling us kill Whitey, but this nigga Whitey. He the one wrote in the law that white was a Moor. They didn't write it. It's his contract that we following, right? They just reaping the rewards, being put in the position to go through the catharsis to purge themselves of the wickedness as they assimilate one drop of blood.
Okay. 7, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, because these things, they get really deep. When we really go there, what we're talking about is taking place even outside of time, even thousands and thousands of years of different levels of entities actually taking their sides in either exploiting the situation and furthering the building of the foundation on top of mother, no matter, what the cost is, continuously harvesting different levels of the souls that are here, keeping them in the game longer than they really should be, longer than the lesson. But sometimes, at the end of the day, we also see how everybody's gotten so strong in all of this. Like, I really wanted to just add some of the linguistic references, because what he's speaking on, you can also take a dream space and actually interact with your multiple selves, multiple aspects of the ancestors, multiple aspects of the archetypes, in order to be able to discern truth from falsehood, because truly that's what, in the end, this starts to become about. That's why I always say, in the end, what remains will be the truth. Because now, if this lesson served any purpose, which I believe it serves many, I actually do believe the ancestors cooked up a hell of a sim. It set on hard, but these are the rights I feel like that even our ancestors had it definitely way more, way more going on, because these are the rights anyway. You being tried by fire, you being tried for honesty, you being tried for, these are the rights anyway that one is put through in the rearing process. And, I believe heavily that many of our ancestors are like trees, that we're all seeded and then we're growing up. But then, of course, just like the parable of the sower, some of the seeds, they wilt. Some of the seeds, they get corrupted. And, that's also all part of the game. And, but it's also very important from a maturity level to still realize when some of that knowledge or some of those ideas or things are creeping up on you and kind of persuading you to do things that affect your big time. Because right now still, they talk about the body being limited in certain ways, but it's where we're at right now. It's the control point in which we're one of the control points in which we're operating from. So what we do here, even in something called the game, they call it the game because there's characters, not because it's not serious and what you do doesn't have repercussions. But I still believe the whole process is to really refine and train the souls that are actually coming through it, as long as the guides and the way showers are, still on the path, because every child that even came into this to a certain degree, at least, needed some kind of upbringing. And the better upbringing that child has still actually creates a better being. I know a lot of us have become strong from going through a lot, but when we even see now this new generation, like even, Rich's kids, they're growing up with a father because Rich knows how important it is to actually be there. We just went over a whole session where the father was like, yo, I'm trying to have a baby with the whole world, I'm trying to repopulate the entire kingdom. So, this kind of restoration at the basic level, the family unit and the structures and the ideals in which we believe is really where the great transformation has got to come from anyway, right? So, I just wanted to add that, man. It's just, I'm enjoying the bill. I'm in it. I'm in flux.
And Rod, and I hear a lot of people talk about this rebellion against the great mother and this divine feminine energy. And, if I'm a bad guy and I'm rebelling against this divine feminine energy, I got to look at the most powerful part of this realm, of this matrix, of this game. And the most powerful part, what animates this thing, is something that we call the sun. So I'm gonna automatically make the sun masculine. Now, even in the conscious spiritual community, we call the moon feminine and the sun masculine. So what role was how much more of a feminine role did the sun play before this rebellion, if any? Is the sun, should we start looking at it as mother sun? Like talk to me about femininity.
We use these terms like mother, but there's female pumas, to be honest. But we can say, hey, it's half of the way, meaning the masculine aspect. You would still have to get that feminine aspect in order to be a dynamo. Like, I don't see the sun specifically as a woman, but a dynamo, a being that actually is capable of having what you would say is the masculine and the feminine pose, and a neutral in that case, all encompassed within the same force. Like something that, as we said, it's like it manifests as parthenogenesis. It manifests as hermaphroditic when it enters into the physical plane, because it can self-generate itself. And so, and then that removes, notice what that would do though, that removes the Eve angel, which is where, like I'm saying, the priestcraft all the way up to what you would even say the extraterrestrials are always trying to get in between and broker the energy. And again, to make it like everybody is good, I think you got to understand that this goes beyond good and bad. You have different beings in play, ushering souls, brokering energy, moving stuff around. But this is also really about your awareness. How aware are you? When your eyes open and you realize what's going on, then you will be able to step in as intercessor for yourself. And then you will go to what you would feel more as a feminine energy, because there's a masculine force. But the lessons are like, it's a bit jaded. That's another conversation. But when you go to the feminine force, it's gentle, it's peaceable, it demands the purity, meaning like, it's almost like, hey, you can't be with no other girls. But we'll say girls just means any other distractions, any other things. You can't be with no other girls but me, as I go through this process with you and you gain this wisdom. You see what I mean? So this is in that way, a gentle and a peaceable spirit that takes one through having a counselor, something that 3 a.m. it's already going in, tumbling the last wheel of what was already being brought forth as the next level of your learning. What I feel like is when one doesn't have that activation of that feminine side, The wheels don't turn that way. There be something else talking. And we would discuss this. They set up altars in the mind, the whisperer and the language complex, etc. It'd be something else talking, but it's not that divine voice that actually is leading one to their true north, leading one through that process that they need to go through. So it's a mother and a father. That's why you look at the Mommy Wata books, right? And, they show, when they show the sister, especially when you go further into the book, they show you like Dionysus is the cognate of one of the Sibyllines. But that doesn't mean she was going to come in a size 6, looking like Wonder Woman, so that a lot of times even the vision of the ancient mothers, a hippopotamus is the most dangerous, you know what I mean? But you may look at it and be like, I think the lion. No, but it's the, there. So what I'm getting at here is that the forces in themselves, they try and they test you for how much not you say you really believe in them or you connect with them, but how much that you actually do connect with them and make that effort. And I haven't seen any person that made that effort that didn't get an answer. And so I feel like that, that's absolutely special because all of this interference with the next thing that's in front of your face saying, hey, I'm God. I believe that's a natural trial that we all have to go through and pass at some stage in our journey. Right. And so I'm not really, I often go back and forth in my own mind about, when you give advanced levels of knowledge, in many ways, you're preventing a person from doing things that maybe otherwise they would have done. Right. You're giving them wisdom so that they avoid some disaster. This is what your parents do. I encourage us always to keep doing that because in many ways, the person is still going to have to make the decision themselves, choose if they really even want to do it or not, or when they want to do it. So there's still a lot more decision making that goes on, despite that you can tell the person the exact knowledge and wisdom of what is happening here in the planet. It's no different than when our mothers was telling us, hey, don't go out and do this, and hang out with him. And then the next thing we was out with him. You see what I mean? That's a big part of how this is all structured. It's still everything that's happening. We're witnessing in the family structure and what goes on even in our lives. When you say, hey, that rebellious son, man, I can't even say